Hey everyone, it's Brittany here with Green Bee Flowers. If you are new to our channel, we are a 5th year, 2.5 acre cut flower farm and boutique floral shop located in small town Southwestern Ontario, Canada. You can support our channel by liking our content and subscribing. If you would like more flower farming content, please consider becoming a member of our channel. Proceeds from memberships help to support our farm and family directly. Now today's video is going to be a mishmash of some farm related seeding, all sorts of kind of farmy brainy thoughts that have happened kind of in the last 2 weeks, and also a bit of a sneak peek into our greenhouse. Because things are starting to happen, we are now into February and it's time to start seeing some growth in flowers again. So we got a lot to get through in this video. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get going. So my last video, somebody posted a comment wondering about the soil blocks not being tight enough so that they would stay together, I guess, for the next few months. And I wanted to show you, so I should preface this by saying most of what I start off in like the little tiny soil blocks gets potted up into like a larger 4x4 tray. I do this for a reason. So soil blocks are really easy for me to kind of math out in 100ths the amount of seeds that we're starting, which makes like calculating germination a lot easier as well. And I'm going to show you with one of the soil blocks from the stock here. So let me just grab this little guy. So this is a soil block for a stock seedling. I did these up probably about a week ago, so they're looking good. They're starting to get their like first true set of leaves on the top, but you can already see on the bottom of this here like some of the roots that are starting to develop. In like a week and a half, that little soil block is going to be, or that little stalk is going to be grown out of the soil block anyways. It's going to need a bigger cell tray in order for it to keep going. I have trialed, and I think I talked about this last year a little bit, but I'll just kind of reiterate. So I have trialed the like large soil blocks as well, the ones that are like that big around, that these guys are supposed to fit like right into the top of the soil block. And while that may be a great system for some farmers, awesome, for us it is a lot of dirt and a lot of time spent having to do those soil blocks that it is not as much of a cost effective option for me as it is just to like wash out the 4-cell trays that we use every single year, right? We've been using these for, I don't know, like at least 4 years. These are going on year 4. We're just very careful with them, and when we pot things up, we typically add like 1 to 2 of them in a cell, and that way it gives the roots as well enough space to kind of like grow and expand, because plants develop roots and it is important that they have somewhere for those to go. So long term, other than like the Lisianthus, which takes an ungodly amount of time to grow. Again, that's why I feel like a superwoman every time I get those to work, because they're so slow growing. Those I'm probably not going to bump up into another tray until likely like the beginning of April. And even then, they'll be going in like 72 hex trays as opposed to going into the 4x4 like these guys, right? Lisianthus is just going to drown in here. It's never going to fill this, and then that kind of, you know, opens up the opportunity for it to develop root rot and things like that as well. We don't want that. So that is essentially why I've chosen, specifically me, let's be real, it's me, have chosen to soil block for seeding and then to pot up into the larger pots as opposed to using the big soil pots. And honestly, it takes me, you know, under a minute to fully like fill up a tray of these with a trowel. The dirt's nice and loose. It gives the roots lots of room to go. When we start looking at like those bigger soil blocks, every time those need to be packed in, it takes a lot of time, a lot of dirt. They're very dense. So while that might work for like smaller flower farms, it's not efficient for me growing thousands upon thousands of flowers every year. Like I have just seeded probably about 600 Lysianthus within the last 2 weeks. So those little guys, there's only 6 too. So like imagine having to do 6 of those large soil blocks, you know, every time. It's a long haul and we don't have time for that. So I've chosen something that's more efficient, and that's why when I'm blocking those, I just use my thumb to push the soil in, because it just has to be dense enough to work for like 2 to 3 weeks while the seedlings are getting established before we bump them up. And I find that the germination rates are better in the soil blocks until I can get them moved up into a bigger pot. Then I'm able to keep a better eye on them, kind of, you know, as we bump them up and move them along. My very bossy but starting to germinate Lysianthus. These were seeded on the 16th of January, so it's been about 10 days and we're finally starting to see some growth on those. You know, and maybe it should, but the moss doesn't really bother me. It just, to me, indicates that the soil's alive. If I cared a lot about it, I would throw vermiculite over top, which you're more than welcome to do. I just let them do their thing. It's fine. You can pick the moss off a little bit with some tweezers if it's really bothering you, but I just let it grow because that means that the soil is alive and that's what we want. You know, and just in case you're like not picking up what I'm putting down yet, I am a very like chill flower farmer. There's a lot of things that I think would probably drive some farmers just crazy, because I don't necessarily strive for perfection. I just want stuff to come up. And I think that it's really easy to make things a lot more difficult than it needs to be. It doesn't have to be rocket science. If I can do this, literally anybody can do this. I think it's just an exercise, and maybe this is just my personal motto to a lot of things in life. And you know, generally kind of important things in life is just to not sweat some of the small stuff, because there's a lot of things that you can't control, and if you spend too much time freaking out about, you know, I didn't do this or this or this or this right, or you know, maybe this seed, you're just gonna end up, you know, stressing yourself into a hole, and we don't want that. So I kind of just let the plants do what they want to do, and if the soil wants to grow moss, the soil's gonna grow moss. It's never been a detriment before to what I'm growing, and it doesn't bother me. So if it doesn't bother the plants, I'm fine with that. All right, so it's Monday, February 3rd, I guess. The calendar still says January, where's it? The 3rd. And I'm pulling out lupins and larkspur that I have had in the fridge to check to see on germination here. So larkspur, lupin, and actually like delphinium should as well, although I didn't cold stratify the delphinium and I probably should have. All require cold stratification period. It's something that can be seeded already in the fall, and they should come up on their own. I'm doing these in paper towel this year. We have about 200 lupins and 200 larkspur going in the ground. This year I'm cutting down substantially on the amount of larkspur that we're growing, just because it hasn't done well in the field in the last 2 years. Our springs have just been so warm. It's been a whole thing. So let's have a look-see here and see how the lupins and the larkspur look. So you're being held up by my KitchenAid mixer right now, because I just kind of thought this might be like the best view. Anyways, you don't need to see me. You're interested in the seeds. So I can already see just by looking through here. This is the lupins, by the way, that we do have some sprouts. So oh yeah, this is good. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stick these, oh, look at how good those look. Stick these in soil today. So that is the first lupin. Oh, awesome. Stick those back in here just so they don't dry out before I get them down to the basement. Oh, and some of them are coming out. I didn't do a very good job wrapping those back up. Okay, now this is the lavender larkspur, and it looks like we have a little bit of life in here as well. So let's have a little look-see here. Okay, so we're starting to see some of these crack, right? Which is good, but I'm not seeing any of them specifically sprouting yet. So what I am going to do is put the larkspur back into the fridge yet. So I'm gonna stick the larkspur then back into the fridge yet for probably another, these ones are starting, but they're not there yet. So we're gonna stick those back into the fridge yet for probably another week. Come back to them next week, and then hopefully next week we'll be able to pop them up. The larkspur specifically is going into the greenhouse this year, and then the lupins we are going to be planting outside close to the delphinium at the farm there, because we have 3 plants already started. My goal is to fill out the row that had the larkspur in it, where those plants are kind of situated in with the larkspur this year. There's a little bit of shade cover there in the summer in the mornings, and so it'll be a good spot for the lupins to kind of have a little bit of reprieve from the summer heat, but also hopefully get nice, tall, stocky blooms. Kind of obsessed with them. We had 3 plants this past year, and I would grow so many more because I think lupins are stunning. So Joseph has to bring 100 of something in an envelope to school tomorrow. And this is what happens when you do that to a family who flower farms. We could have chosen the sweet peas. Nope. Nick is currently getting Joseph's homework finished here, which is how many? 100 celosia seeds? Is that what you chose, was celosia?
Well, I don't know anymore because I lost count.
Oh no. We're so mean. Look at that. We're so mean. Well, that's underwhelming, he says. Well, that's 100 celosia seeds. Well, greenhouse 2 is gonna have plastic on it soon. This front section here is looking really good. We're gonna be putting the stock and larkspur and more ranunculus and a whole bunch of stuff in here. All right, so it's February the 10th. We are in the greenhouse. I will say this year's greenhouse looks a little different than last year because it's been very, very cold, right? Last year, we're probably like, I mean, we're seasonal, let's be real. So stuff is still, you know, fairly covered in frost cloth here. All of the ranunculus and anemones and things that are in this greenhouse here were planted in the fall. We are just starting to see some sprouts come up in that row there of ranunculus that was planted just before Christmas. The thing here is that we've been trying to keep it heated so that obviously the ground doesn't freeze. And so that means where like last year we were sticking, I think about this week, honestly, it was either this week or the following week, we were putting honestly ranunculus in this row here. This year we're just trying to keep them alive. As you know what, as long as the ground doesn't freeze, we're good, right? It's the corm itself you have to worry about, not the plants, because the ranunculus and anemones are fairly hardy. You can see like Nick gave these guys a really good water because it was like 40 degrees in here one day last week. But we can see kind of like down here, there's some sprouts, and then those are the snapdragons. And then on this side of me here is the anemones. And if I walk just down the row here, just kind of to show you what this looks like. These are the anemones right now. So they're a little frost mad, but I mean, like, they're alive, and give it another couple weeks and we're gonna have a lot more going on in here. Once we get out of February and kind of into March, we're gonna see a lot more life and flowers in the greenhouse, hopefully. The goal really is to have this thing blooming for Easter this year, which is the middle of April. And then some of the eucalyptus didn't make it through the cold snap that we had. However, if the root systems and the stalks are still alive on them, we'll just cut them down and let them, you know, regrow into trees. The game plan in this greenhouse, hopefully by the end of this year, is I have about another 150 eucalyptus seedlings started. So we're going to be planting these 2 center rows here with all eucalyptus. The goal is to have this whole center as to be kind of like a forest. And then we will use the sides for extra. And yeah, that's the greenhouse right now. Like I said, it's been a cold winter. So like it's warm in here right now, but it's been chilly. We've had a couple nights where it's been like minus 20, minus 25. And then Nick's got a whole setup over here with his generators and heating lamps and things, just to try and keep everything alive. Yeah, it's 2025 and we're gonna try some different things this year. We're gonna make a few, I think, changes to where things, you know, are both in the greenhouse and in the other greenhouse, and we're gonna have more indoor space to work with. I'd love to get a 3rd greenhouse up. We'll see. But yeah, it's feeling, I don't know, we're a little bit more organized this year, which is very helpful. And I love all the makeshift hoops that we've got here. So yeah, so that's the greenhouse. Oh, it's nice in here. It gives you all the vitamin D.
Well, we're attempting to go solar, but we're not quite there yet. So in the meantime, we have a generator running, which you can hear in the background. Right now, the generator is charging my battery because the solar panels can't keep up. Obviously, we have a big heater. We have a big fan trying to blow the heat to the back of the greenhouse. In behind, I have a thermostat, so it'll turn the heater on When it gets cold, then it turns it off around 10 degrees Celsius, and that's enough to keep the back of the greenhouse warm. And if there's enough gas and everything, then it runs all night, and then solar can take over for the daytime run.
This is the new fandangled heater that Nick's dad bought. But it's been working. It keeps things nice and toasty in here overnight. So sometimes I realize I sound very Canadian. Toasty. It sounds very, it's very toasty. Or is that Minnesota? I'm not sure. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.